Hey everybody, this is Matt with mathsmath.com. Thanks for joining us here today as we talk about rational numbers, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing them, okay? That's what we're going to be looking at today. We're in the Common Core Math Standard of the number system, and we're going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing rational numbers today. We're going to use what we've learned in the past with fractions, now apply it to rational numbers. Our guiding question is how can we add, subtract, multiply, and divide with rational numbers? You'll be able to do that by the end of the day today. All right. So let's talk about that. Are there any differences with rational numbers? Well, when you add or subtract, are there any differences? No, you just line up the decimal. No big deal. These are going to be helpful notes that you would probably want to make sure you know what you're doing. All right, convert all fractions. Convert to all the fractions. So make sure if you've got decimal and fractions, line them up, make them all fractions or make them all decimals, whichever you prefer. Some people prefer all decimals, some people prefer all fractions. If it's fractions, don't forget to use a common denominator. Nothing really different with positive or negative rational numbers, okay? Now with multiplication and division, you don't need a common denominator. Please don't make this mistake. Just multiply across. It's so easy to multiply fractions together. Now, you have an even amount of negatives. When you sit down there and you point your finger at each of the negatives on the problem, you have an even amount, the answer is going to be positive. If you have an odd amount, the answer is going to be negative. And then don't forget when you're dividing fractions, we're going to use KFC. Keep the first one, flip the second one, and then change the multiplication or the division to multiplication, okay? All right. Here's a quick hint for you about finding the first fraction. Keep the first fraction, flip the second, change the division to multiplication. No big deal. All right. Well, when you start to make money as you get older, you usually will have a checking account or along with a debit card, and then maybe even a credit card. All right. When we look at a spreadsheet like this, the black numbers means it's always the amount of money you have. Okay. Deposit or debt is money you have. Whereas red numbers is a credit. It's money you don't have that you're able to spend. You get plenty of credit card offers later on to talk about this. All right, so you're going to follow the transactions here to find your current balance or total, okay? This is what you're going to be doing. Here is your record sheet. You spent $52 total. It is actually what you have. You spent $7.68 at McDonald's, $3.26 at 7-Eleven, $25 you made at mowing lawns. Owed your parents now $36 because you broke the lawnmower and they helped you fix it. Buy some shoes for $29.95. Now, this is all an exercise in PEMDAS and being able to get the fractions and the decimals to line up. But wait a minute, we don't have what 50% of the coupon is for the shoes. We paid 50% off of this, so let's do 50% of that, guys. So 29.5 times 0.5. All right, then follow along, figure out your new balance. Add or subtract, so we got the black. We're going to be subtracting the 768, subtracting the 326, adding the 25. Now what I would recommend is maybe adding all the reds together and then subtracting that from the total of the black. Okay? Red numbers mean subtraction or a decrease. So here, the first thing we're going to do is take 768 and put it for McDonald's food. All right. Next thing, the black numbers are deposits. That's the money you made. So you made $25 mowing the lawn, okay? That's what that $25 is there. And then the 50%, well, what's 50% of a particular decimal or fraction? Well, just multiply 0.5 times the answer there, and that will give you 50% of it. Take 0.5, basically taking half of $29.95. Well, you could always do half of 30, and then that extra nickel take a half off. All right. Remember to use either both fractions or both decimals depending on when you're multiplying or dividing them together. Right? And this is your grand total after adding and subtracting is what you get on the end. Will this number be red or black? Please tell me why. All right. That was it for looking at our sheet there. All right, KFC. Might be a yummy place to eat, but it's a handy way to remember the process of dividing fractions. So, like this guy, 2/5 divided by 6/7. No worries. All you do, keep the first one. That's easy. Flip the second one, 7/6, and then change the multiplication to division. Okay, you're going to multiply across like normal. 2 times 7, 5 times 6, and that's it. Now the reciprocal, you use the reciprocal when you're dividing fractions. That keep, flip, change, how you flip the second fraction there, that's called the reciprocal. We flip it. When we get a number when we get you to flip a fraction, all you got to do is switch the numerator with the denominator with the numerator, and bam, that's it. When you multiply a fraction and it's reciprocal, you will always get 1. Okay, you need to know that. Anytime you multiply these guys out, you always get 1. All right, so here's some examples. The reciprocal of 1/7 is 7. 7 over 1. Reciprocal of 2/5, 5/2. Reciprocal of -5/3. Now we haven't talked about negatives, but in order to get a positive answer, you just make the other one negative. So this one becomes -3/5. What about the reciprocal of -4? Put it over 1, and that's it. So it's going to be -1/4. Flip that when you put it over 1, and then you get -1/4, okay? All right. Once you go through these guys, add or subtract, remember all the steps that we gave you. Find common denominators, turn them all to fractions or turn them all to decimals. And then remember here, rules still apply. So you can think about going up 1 or down 1/3, down 5/8, up 1/2. And that's how you figure out whether you're adding and subtracting them. Remember, if they have different signs, you will be subtracting them. Okay, keep, flip, change these guys over here, and then multiply these guys out. Remember, multiplying fractions is really easy. You just take -3, multiply by the 4, and then 4 times 28, and then simplify. Need some help? Here are your answers. All right. Well, that was it as we talked about rational numbers, dealing with especially numbers with decimals and fractions. And notice I put money up here because money is all about being rational. Right? 25 cents, 0.25, that's a rational number through and through. That's it. All right. Well, this is Matt with MathsMath.com. Check us out on Facebook at Solving Maths Problems and on Twitter at MathsMath. And enjoy math.